gouache and watercolor pencils. Off to the side here I also have a small selection of some watercolor paintbrushes. And right here is my water. Not terribly exciting. And we also have some paper towel. Today we're going to do some painting and just chit chat because it's been a while since we've done that. I am starting with my sketch already done today because for me to go through the entire thing from sketch to finished product would just take a really long time, which is okay of course, but not for today. Maybe next time we'll do the sketch aspect. It could be fun. But for this video I wanted to just do the painting. So the last one I did was actually the Inktober video, which was of course back in October, so I figured it was time. So today we're going to be working on a little painting of Gwen Stacy. Originally I was going to do a Spider-Gwen because I love her new costume, but I ended up doing just Gwen Stacy in a cute oversized Spider-Man shirt. It'll be fun to paint anyway. So I'm gonna start off with, I guess you'd consider this a small brush, but to me it's medium-sized because I work with some very small brushes. And I'm just gonna start layering in some shading. I like to do that when I'm painting just so that I can start blocking in where I want colors to be. I really like working in watercolors. It's one of my favorites. Some people don't like it, but to me it's such a forgiving medium. You can keep layering and add more and more color as you see fit. So you may not have noticed, and if you didn't, then that's wonderful. But you may have noticed a tiny bit of a delay in my uploads. And that is because I took a little short vacation. Not too long, just for about a week. I went to New Jersey and it was really wonderful. I had a really nice time. It's really nice there to me, but everyone was super cold. Wasn't balmy or anything, but like nicer than where I live. Today I was out running some errands and my phone said it was negative 32 degrees. So a little chilly. That's Celsius, of course. A little cold. My face really hurt even though I was wearing a scarf. But you know, I think I'm lucky because it seems like everybody around me is getting sick right now. My roommate was sick. A bunch of my friends were sick. I was bringing them soup and things like that. Because everybody likes to be pampered when they're sick, of course. I know I do. And my parents were sick, and nobody was like really, ill. But just, everybody's got colds right now. I guess it's that time of year. I usually get sick. I don't know how I haven't this year. I don't have a terribly strong immune system. Of course, now that I've said something, I'm almost certain to get sick. Knock on wood, right? So yeah, I just like to lay in some shading first to kind of just in my mind get a better understanding of where things are going. This is a little bit faster than I usually like to work. But you know, it's for a video, so gotta speed up a little bit. So once you have your shadows blocked in, you can start going ahead and filling in some color. So, let's go for a bright red for the t-shirt. I have a couple different reds here. Some of them are watercolor and some of them are gouache. And I'm going to start with like my darker areas in here. And just layer them in. I like to do things in washes because it lets me build. Sure, it looks super wet right now. The paper I'm using is 140-pound paper, and that's measured in reams. Watercolor paper is. I always use at least 140. My preference is usually the 300-pound. Anything past that is kind of unnecessarily thick to me. But I'm sure there are projects that would necessitate that weight. But for me, for my needs, anything past 300 is just unnecessary. But yeah, so this is 140-pound. And it's pretty heavy duty. The thing I like about the 140-pound is that a lot of times you can get pre-cut sheets in this weight, whereas the 300, it's pretty difficult to find in like a stack. Kind of have to buy it in huge sheets and then cut it. Depending on what you're doing, that can be kind of annoying. If you're just doing something like this, that you don't really need a custom size. Sorry if there's any bit of a lighting change just now. My camera battery died. I had to go charge them for a couple hours. So it's a bit of the problem with, you know, doing stuff like this. You think you get everything ready. You charge everything to the best of your ability, but of course, that's just the way it goes. Your battery's gonna die in the middle of filming. That happens to me so much, you would not believe. At some point, I'm gonna buy like backup batteries to have just ready. I'll save up for them. I love shading, especially skin tones. This painting doesn't have like too much of that, but that's what I love to paint and to draw. Skin tones. I like to start with, the darkest parts and kind of work my way up. I don't know if everybody does that or if that's even a technique. Probably isn't. It's just what I happen to do. But sometimes I don't really have a plan with what I'm doing and I just do whatever. I think both methods work just fine. I hope spring isn't super shy this year. I love winter, but it would be nice to not have to, get completely bundled up to leave the house. You know what the problem is that I don't think I would mind it so much, but we just haven't really had much snow at all here. We've had like a couple snowfalls, but a lot of other places have gotten tons of snow. I'm sure you've probably had a lot too, and we just haven't really had any. It's so disappointing. Even during the holidays this year, we didn't really have any snow. It was such a bummer. So, like, winter without snow, it's not very fun. It's kind of the point of winter, it's to be all snowy and beautiful. But we haven't had that. Watercolors can be a slow, easy painting job, but sometimes you have to fill in a big space quickly. So it requires a little bit of, not speed, but finesse, let's say. I'm resisting very painfully to make a happy little trees joke. I'm really struggling not to, but I suppose having mentioned it just now is, I guess I did kind of make it in my own way. We'll just put some happy little shadows in here. Some happy little t-shirt folds with a dark red. So yeah, I use a mix of watercolor and gouache when I'm doing stuff like this, and some people don't like to mix them, and I think it's very bad to do so, but I just, I don't really care. Just, put markers in, put acrylic paints in, doesn't matter, right? It's all whatever you want to do. we'll give the t-shirt a bit of a rest for a minute. Let's start doing some details in the hair. Get some yellow. Let's use some pencils for this. Some watercolor pencils here. I have a tiny little metal tin here with them. Some watercolor pencils. I've had these for a long time because I don't really use them that much. But they're very fun to lay in some color, you know? Broke a lead there. I don't really hold my pencil like this, but I need to be able to show what it is that I'm doing. I kind of need to be able to see. And let's pick a bigger brush for the hair. I'll just move this down a little bit so you can get a little bit of a better view. And because we've laid down that kind of canary lemon yellow, it's going to show through when I go through with this darker yellow as well. I would normally go the skin tones first, but they need to dry the area because they're right next to the t-shirt. Gonna have to take steps with watercolors because if you don't, it'll all bleed together. Yeah, I don't usually hold my brush like this, but I need you to be able to see what I'm doing. A little bit darker back in here. Where there would be shadow. And let's give Gwen some blue eyes. I'm not filling in the entire pupil here because I want to leave room for some little shines. Is this dry? No, it's not. Alright. Well, we can start doing some skin tone work. So as you can see, there's no peach on my tray, and that's because skin isn't really peach, despite what Crayola would have you believe. Even people with really light skin don't have peach skin. There's all kinds of different colors in our skin. There's veins underneath our skin that kind of give a bit of a blue and purple color, depending on if you have cool or warm skin tone. There's yellows and pinks and oranges and reds, browns, all kinds of different colors in our skin. So those are the colors that we use. if you're feeling, you know, like you don't want to do that, you can always just use peach, and that's fine too. You can go in and add some peach directly in with your watercolor pencil, but I don't usually do that. Although now I've got to even it up, don't I? Alright, just move this up a little bit. So, I'm going to use this big brush again. Just swirl it around in my water. Get all the color off. And I'm going to start fiddling to make kind of a skin tone. We'll make it in the spot. Get kind of that stuff out of there. Alright. Get out of there. Alright. So, we need some red. We need some yellow. Gonna mix it really good. Yellow. Can add a little bit of this pink up here, which I am running out of. I always have to buy pink special because it never comes in watercolor sets. And you can add browns and other colors into whatever you want. This is probably kind of what I'm looking for, although I'm going to add a little bit more yellow. And that looks super dark, but you know, when you're painting, it's not going to be like that. Okay. So, a lot of times I like to add in a wash to start that doesn't have, you know, too much color on it. But obviously there's a little bit left in my brush. What are you gonna do, you know? And I'm picking up some of that peach that we laid in with the watercolor pencil. Put some up here in the hand. And then I can take a little bit of the color, start laying it on top of the shadows. Just on top of here, fade it out a little bit. And this is just one method, you know. Everybody's kind of got their own little method for how they do this, but this is just what I do. Go in and fill in some of these little fingers. There. And do this hand. Gonna have to make some more of that color. I'm running out. And we'll do the face. I should make some more first. A bit of red. Some yellow. Pink. It's a little more yellow. Alright. Alright, the face. Just laying in some water here. You know, just using general knowledge of how shadow hits your face to fill in these colors here. And I'm not going to do the neck right away because the face is drying. It'll just bleed right in. So, as funny as it looks, we're going to leave that for a second. And I think we'll actually move on to the spider on her shirt and just block in a little bit of color there. I'm going to use a different brush. Something a little bit smaller, but not too small. Let's see. I think this one. Yeah. We're going to do blue for the spider because, well, I'm just super predictable like that. Because why not, right? I want this super watery. Not too much pigment. I need a bigger brush. Who was I kidding? I'm looking at it and I'm like, no, that's not gonna work. Yeah, much better. Okay. So I'm just kind of following the folds that we worked in here. Just got a fold, then another one. If we don't follow them, it won't look like she's actually wearing the t-shirt, you know? Sorry if I'm being quiet. I'm just trying to get these right. Alright, so the skin on the face color should be dry. That's a sentence I didn't think I'd say in this video. You know what I mean though. So now we can go ahead and fill in the neck. Right in here. We'll fill all these little shadows in. And of course, if you don't get them all the first time, you can always go back in and add more. That's the appeal of watercolor, lots of layers. And I think poor Gwen needs some eyebrows, so let's give her some. shading in the hair now that we've got the face color all done. A little bit more yellow, I think. Kind of a little fuzzy. There. And let's give her some lips. Do you think red lips? I'm thinking maybe red. It's a little too much pigment. And of course we gotta give her her signature headband. There's a lot of spots that you may have seen me just not add in color or not completely fill in, and that's intentional. The thing about watercolors is the paper is already white, so you can't really add highlights. Anything you leave blank becomes a highlight. You kind of have to get used to that, because in a lot of other things you can, you know, add the highlights and it kind of makes it easier, but with watercolor you really have to be actively thinking about what you're doing, about where the light source is. So I've got a couple different brushes here that I'm going to be using to do the lines. They're all very thin. This is the tiniest one, I think, this one on the far left. You can barely see it. So little. And I also decided that I'm going to use this peat brown Winsor Newton ink instead of black, because I think that'll just be an extra touch. I haven't used this one too much, so shake it around a little bit. Didn't want to open for a second there. I might not be too chatty while we're doing this because I'm just trying to get it right, so please forgive me if that's the case. This is probably the most satisfying part to do. This is where it all comes together. I wanted to give Gwen pink cat eye eyeliner. She's very mod, you know? That's how I picture her. Very stylish, but like a timeless kind of style. She doesn't really follow trends, I feel. I feel like she's very, like I said, very mod style, like bold colors, block prints. It's kind of nice to use brown instead of black, I feel. Kind of adds a little bit of a different look. It's softer. I'm sure you can see now why I left the drawing part out. We'll do a drawing video, it's just the painting aspect takes so long as it is. It'll be a very long video. Although I think some of you might like that. Am I right? I'm not working in any particular order with this. Doesn't really matter. Just whatever I feel like. If I was smart though, and I'm not, in this instance, that clever, I would have started on this side so I could move my hand this way because I'm right-handed. Well, I'm right-handed for most things. I'm not ambidextrous, but there's certain things that I use my left hand for, I feel. I think everybody's like that though. I definitely like have a steadier hand with my right though, that's for sure. Little eyelashes. I wanted to give her kind of like a little smirk here, because I think that's cuter than, you know, just a complacent smile. putting the last couple lines on here. And the most important part is, of course, to sign your piece. So here we have the finished post.